Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tanner's Favorite Things. Today we have another thin rectangular box. What could possibly be in here? Let's find out. Before I dig into this, I will say that this packaging is a little suspect. It's got a lot of movement going on here, so I'm hoping we don't have anything going on. This is a Gibson guitar, which are prone to headstock breaks, so let's just go ahead and hope that's not the case here, but looks like it's upside down. All right, let's go ahead and see what we've got. All right, moment of truth. It is in fact a Gibson SG Standard. You may recall that I traded my 2003 SG Standard just last week, so I went out and bought me a new one. This is that guitar. Alright, let's just go over this guitar and make sure that there's no surprises here. We've got a really nice cherry finish. This is actually the color that I've always wanted in an SG, and I had the black and I loved it. It sounded great, it felt great, but I figured that it was worth trading for that Axis Super Sport. I'll link that video in this one as well. But in the 90s, we have an Ebony Fretboard on the SG. Although, I'll be honest, this looks very rosewood upon first blush. So this might just be a really dark rosewood, but in most cases you'll see an Ebony Fretboard at this era. This is a 1996 Gibson SG. This zebra stripe pickup here I doubt is original, and maybe even this bridge pickup as well. I'm not 100% sure, we'll have to dig into that. But it is wound very low, so it might be a really hot pickup that is just wound all the way down in the body so that it's not so hot. But I believe this is the Batwing style pickguard. It looks like this might even be a proper ABR1 style bridge too. Something I didn't expect in this era, but the tailpiece has the strings wrapped over the top. I might change that, we'll see. Otherwise, this is a really beautiful guitar. Nothing too stand out as far as grain or small little details in the wood, but we do have what appears to be a three-piece body. Got a seam here and a seam here, so pretty standard mahogany with a mahogany neck, and the standard neck joint. You can see that they have this little bump right there. That's very standard. Got a few little dings here and there, but overall this is a player's grade guitar. That's what I'm interested in mostly, and that's what this is. So let's take a look at that headstock, make sure there are no cracks or repairs. That would be very obvious if there were with this finish. Next we do have Kluson branded tuners, but they look to be aftermarket locking style Klusons. I've never seen these before, so I'll have to do a little bit of research to see what's going on there. Otherwise, our serial number is 91686, which means this is 1996 on the 168th day. This is the 4th batch and the 94th guitars, I believe how that's supposed to be read. Made in USA, and just a really nice looking guitar. You can see that there's actually some finish checking going around the neck when you hold it in the light like this. I don't think that that's anything bad or to be worried about, but this is pretty common. You'll see finish checking on the neck and on the back a lot too, which I'm surprised there's not more of on this guitar here. I'd say this headstock is the most beat up looking. You can see a little scrape over there on the G string. Just some little chips here and there, just around the edges. Nothing that I would be worried about. Like I said, player's grade guitars. I love player's grade guitars. They always have a certain mojo. Well, not always, but let's hope in this case that at least this one does. A 3-ply pickguard as well. Didn't point that out, but that is in fact a 3-ply black. No, I think it's 4. It's black, white, black, white. So 4-layer pickguard there. Nice. So 1996 Gibson SG Standard. Not sure why that's not focusing, but there she is. Alright everybody, it's the next day and I've had a chance to play this guitar for about an hour, maybe a couple hours, and I can say that I really love the sustain and the tone out of this bridge pickup. The one little issue that I've come across is that the neck pickup here is kind of dead. This is all the way full in the neck pickup right here. You can hear there's a tiny little bit of sound coming out, and if I boost up the gain, you can hear that there is sound coming out, but that's compared to this. Both on full. So I'll have to tear this apart and see what's going on there. If you do remember, this pickup was wound way down and it was recessed into this pickup cavity here, and I wonder if that was just to get it out of the way since it wasn't working properly. But I raised it up thinking, oh, maybe that will enhance the sound, but it in fact made it worse. I don't know. But we do have really great sounds in the bridge, so when we just move that there, and in all reality, this is 95% of where I play anyway, so is it a big deal? Not too much, but I always like a guitar with 100% functioning parts, so we'll see what we can do. The next thing, I did notice that the original tuners, they're just the Kluson style tuners, and the original knobs were both in the case. So that's kind of nice. You have original parts with the guitar, but you could tell that they were pretty worked, and I'll put up an image of both of those. At least the knobs, they had a lot of wear, especially on the tops here, and I doubt that they were staying firm on the actual pot, so that's probably why they were replaced. Luckily, they were replaced with identical witch hat style knobs, so they look great. This guitar stays in tune amazingly well. Much better than my previous two SGs that I've had, and I think I can attribute that to these tuners, these Kluson locking tuners. I think they're a really nice upgrade to the original tuners. Plus I have the originals, which I do believe have the same exact footprint, so that's also a nice little feature there. Kluson for Kluson. This fretboard is indeed rosewood, it's just filthy. So we'll have a separate video of a complete teardown and a clean up of this guitar, see if that improves the sound noticeably at all, or if it's just all in my head. But I think a clean guitar plays a lot better than a dirty guitar, and hopefully we'll find out in a separate video. I also took the control panel off, and behind here you'll see that we have the 4 original pots from what I can tell, but you can tell that there's some additional wiring going on. Again, once we tear open this pickguard, that'll give us a little bit of information about what that looks like. But other than that, just kind of the one surprise of that neck pickup not working 100%. This is also my very first guitar with a true ABR1 style bridge. And what is the ABR1 style bridge? This is Gibson's original electric guitar bridge. This is where they drill 2 posts directly into the guitar body. They don't recess little metal cups where you can either screw in threaded posts or just jam in press fit posts. They actually screw the bridge posts into the wood, and a lot of people claim that this provides the most resonant sound that you can get out of a bridge. Since this is my first time with an ABR1 bridge, I don't know if that's true or not, but what I can tell you is, boy, it looks awfully flimsy. These 2 little screws going right into the wood with a lot of threads showing here. Seems like you could induce tension one way or the other and really knock that bridge out of whack. So I'm kind of glad that they went away from this style, but some people swear by this bridge, and we'll see if it makes a noticeable difference. Other than that, the previous owner has wrapped this over the top of the tailpiece. I think that I might try to swap that around. I don't know, we'll see what happens when I tear this apart, but I tend to like avoiding a wrapped tailpiece. So we'll see. But for now, this thing plays really well, stays in tune perfectly, and the bridge pickup sounds really beefy. So for today, we are plugged into the orange Rocker 30 watt amp, and that's being plugged into the orange 2x12 cabinet on the bottom here. That's filled with 2 Celestion V30 speakers. This is one of my favorite sounding rigs. It's dark, it's meaty, it's girthy, and I think it pairs really well with this SG style guitar. Capturing the sound today, we have 2 microphones. The Sennheiser E906 on the right, your left speaker, and then we have the Audio-Technica AT4033 SE condenser mic on the left, your right speaker, and they're both just being fed into individual channels in the DAW. And of course, for our preamp today, we have the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20 standard interface that I've been using for the last 6 or so months. So before we hear the tones available in this guitar, I do want to talk about why I purchased this specific SG. I've had 2 Gibson SGs prior to this one. One of them was a Gibson SG Special. That was my very first one, kind of a $500 Gibson SG from, I don't know, the mid-2000s or so. And it had P90 pickups in it. It was really fun. My first SG, I had a blast with it, But eventually I wanted to try the 2 humbucker variant, so I went to my previous SG, which was that 2012 Ebony SG that I just traded for the Music Man guitar. But that was a 2003, so kind of the more modern Gibson era, the mature Henry Juszkiewicz era, if you will. But I've always been attracted to Gibson guitars from the 90s, so I figured since we have an opening for an SG in the lineup, why not go for one from the Goodwood era and really see what a 90s Gibson SG is all about. So if you're wondering what the Goodwood era is in the history of the Gibson guitars, just check out this video below in the description from Trogley that outlines the Goodwood era. This is really that period from 1990 through around 1998, 97. Some people say even through the early 2000s, but I think it really ends towards 97, 98. It's called the Goodwood era, where Gibson just had the choicest woods and there were no CITES restrictions, so they could import from all kinds of different lumber stock providers, and that provided them with some of the most gorgeous examples of wood that you'll find in guitars. So of course, the most beautiful piece of wood can turn into the crappiest guitar if you don't have the right know-how, but luckily Gibson took their 100+ years of know-how and applied it to the electric guitar using that really high quality stock of wood. Some people say guitars from this era are more resonant, they have better sustain, just a more warm or rounded tone. It's all very subject to your own personal discretion, but it's pretty unanimously understood that this is one of Gibson's highest quality eras in the history of the guitar maker. This particular SG has really standard kind of 1960s, maybe even 1959 specs as far as the neck goes. We have a 1.65 width at the nut and a 2.07 width at the 12th fret with a neck depth of 0.82 inches at the nut and 0.97 at the 12th fret. So it does get kind of chunky at the 12th fret, but it's not what you'd call a baseball bat thick neck. It's especially comfortable here down at the cowboy chord area, and once you get up here it doesn't get much thicker. It's still at that 0.97 area after you get beyond the 12th fret. So really nice access that is standard in a Gibson SG, plus a nice fast neck that you would expect. These are the original frets. You can tell by the fret nibs existing. Sometimes you can get a refret done and keep those fret nibs, but in most cases they got to be blown away. Otherwise, the fret life is pretty good. We've got some divoting here at the first 3 or 4 frets, and then otherwise they're just nice and shiny on the tops. They do need a good polish, and this neck of course is just filthy. So I can't wait to get these strings off of here and clean this thing, but first we'll hear some tones. Again, we're just going to stay in the bridge for this particular review. So here we go, clean into the Orange Rocker 30. I can tell you this guitar sustains for days. It's one of the best sustaining guitars that I've picked up, if not the best. And that's saying a lot because this Music Man right here sustains for days as well. So a lot to compare between these two guitars from that standpoint. But this thing just rings and goes for days. Sorry, couldn't help myself. that needed a little distortion, so I kicked it into the lead channel on this Orange Rocker 30. Well, that sounds great. Let's go ahead and hear the Metal Zone. Well, this thing sounds crazy good with this amp. I love the sound of the SG. This combination is absolutely killer, and I don't know, maybe I'm becoming a believer in the ABR1 cell bridge, but this thing sustains forever. Alright, let's cap it there. I'm going to go ahead and tear this thing down in a separate video, but if you do have any questions or comments, or if you do have your own 96 Gibson SG, even if it's not in the cherry red color, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that guitar. So thanks again for watching. If you like this content, feel free to like and subscribe. I hope to see you on the next one.